Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the WGL Grand Finals for 2015. We are now down to just 3 teams remaining. We know one of our finalists. It's time to find out who will be joining them. Our first team are one of the champions, the former champions of the Russian CIS League. Please welcome Hellraisers! And their opponents are the reigning champions of the world for World of Tanks, bidding to become the first ever 2-time world champions. Please welcome Na'Vi! And for what promises to be a proper clash of the titans, let's find out who predicts who in our second semi-final.
Thank you very much, Paul, and congratulations to both these teams as they've made it to the semi-final stage. We continue to break down the different battles, the different maps, joined by Jordy, Jonathan, Mojo, and Ola as we continue here in the semi-final. Let's take a look at the bracket and see the journeys of Hellraisers and Na'Vi at the bottom of that bracket. Hellraisers able to take down Yato Gaming barely 5-4, and Na'Vi took out Virtus Pro. Hellraiser joined us from Group B, where they annihilated Arete, and they were joined by Kazda Crew out of that group. Na'Vi was part of the same group as EL Gaming and RG Razor. And Na'Vi was able to 5-0 EL Gaming, EL, the team that'll be joining us in the finals after this matchup. Hellraisers is a team that's joining us from CIS. Don't know too much about them, but it's great to see them here. We do know their past history, though, the name that they used last time, and that was Unity. So can Hellraisers do it against Na'Vi? Can they take them out?
They've taken them out in the season. Hellraisers pretty close. Finals weren't so good, but I think they have a pretty good chance. I mean, they're a really good tactical team. Might catch Na'Vi off guard.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at the journey of Hellraisers from yesterday in this video.
The day that is ahead of you is a tough one. Is there any team you want to avoid?
I think that nobody we avoid for, but I think that our main opponents are School Bus and Na'Vi, and I hope that the next day will be really present for us, and so we enjoy it.
When you're here, you know, the thousands of people walking around, thousands upon thousands watching at home, what does that feel like for you?
We feel that we really need to be there. We're a really good team and can show this auditory that we are one of the best teams in the whole world.
Thank you very much, Sean. And again, Hellraisers, known formerly as Unity. We all knew who Unity was last year, so for those that are joining us again this year, new name Hellraisers, and in a really, really good spot against Na'Vi. Overall strengths and weaknesses from this team, from the amount of series that we've seen so far, pretty solid. Pretty solid in their tactics, pretty solid in their preparation, pretty solid on both types of maps so far. But Mojo, what would you say Hellraisers is known the most for, at least in this tournament?
Advanced tactics always, and patience.
And patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
The weakness they had is they were vulnerable to strong pushes, and they even struggled during this tournament with Arete on community stage. They barely won them 5-4. They lost in finals to SC6, which are a really strong push team. Fell to lower bracket, fell to Na'Vi there. Although they beat them previously in the season 5-3, and in pretty equal battles, they lost in the finals there, and Navi went on and won their season.
And they're no stranger to live events. They're no strangers to the Grand Finals last year.
This is a
They took
mixture
third place.
of former Unity and Mind.
Yeah.
Really strong teams. Unity was a tragic team of a Grand Final, I would say, because they paid the price because they were young. But I think they grew, there was enough time, and this is the moment if we see something new, and especially it will be right now, this is the opponent they want to play and beat.
And when it comes to Navi, what can we say that we haven't already said? Champions from last year, calm, cool, and collected. They're a team that teams around the world look up to. But are they beatable? I think the answer is yes. Who can beat them, though? Is it going to be Hellraisers, or is it going to be EL Gaming? From yesterday, EL Gaming lost 0-5 against them. So if this is a close match between Hellraisers and Navi, I think that will help EL Gaming to watch the type of tactics that Navi brings in this series to prepare for the finals themselves. But if you were EL Gaming, what would you be looking out for specifically in this series?
How Navi plays on open maps, because that's really important for Elon, to see how they play on open maps and what they can do to push them hard and take them by surprise. Navi can only fall to two things: a really, really hard, aggressive, unexpected push, and a beautiful played out tactic step by step. That's the only thing that can beat them. We saw against vPro, control play versus control play. It came pretty close. But Hellraisers, in my opinion, is a better team than vPro, so it might be even closer.
Would you agree with that assessment, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think so. I was saying before the Global Grand Finals that I thought if Navi was going to lose, this would be the Global Grand Final they would lose at. Since seeing them playing on stage, they seem so much more consistent than other teams here. I don't think we're going to see them lose. I think we're going to see Hellraisers give them a fantastic match, take it, possibly tiebreaker, but I think Navi comes out on top in the end.
I know that a lot of those votes are coming in right now, Olaf. We got any calculations yet of who's voting for who?
That's right. So 89% is for Navi now.
Wow.
But yeah, still people have to predict the exact score line. And this will give them a chance to win a World of Tanks branded Razer Galeatus mousepad or 20 bonus codes.
All right.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Send in those predictions and make sure to use that hashtag on Twitter, the Grand Finals. Let's talk about the map choices here, gentlemen. Cliff, Prokhorovka, and Steps for the tiebreaker. Is Cliff a surprising choice from either of these teams?
Last time they played Ruinberg and Himmelsdorf.
Cliff is not a real surprise, though.
Tie both. One on Steps by Navi, by push, what is called Navi push, over the rail while they were defending. And this time they both chose just to play open maps, so that means they have something prepared and they do not want to play something that was already used.
I feel this is another one of those mind games, because these teams know each other so well. They probably train against each other as well. They're both from the same league, both know how each other play, and now they're playing open maps, where it comes down to where do you go, mind games. Can you predict what the enemy is doing? And Navi is a bit slower than Hellraisers, a bit more tactically. So, I mean, if Hellraisers can actually catch Navi off guard with some strange tactics that they might not expect, because they know them so well, and push them hard, they have a good chance.
Now, this may be way out of left field, but you talk about putting things under a microscope. If you take a step back and look at the broader picture, maybe after watching what happened on Cliff from EL Gaming and Kazna Crew, both these teams want to have maybe a round against each other, but to prepare a little bit better for the finals itself and what's going to happen on Cliff, because that was a domination map from EL Gaming. That may be jumping the gun and thinking a couple steps ahead where you should be focused on this match, but I'm sure both these teams took a lot of notes to prepare for the finals itself. And you got to be cognizant of that. You definitely have to think about what's right in front of you, what's happening in the here and now, but you have to prepare a couple steps ahead. At least the commander does, the leader does, when preparing for these large tournaments.
Yeah, I think especially before the tournament starts and when you're not playing, you absolutely have to focus ahead. But in this moment, in this instant, there's only one match that matters for either of these teams, and that's Navi versus Hellraiser.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ola. And again, make sure to send those tweets. Ola will be standing by. We're going to throw it on over to the commentators for our second semifinal match.
Well, and what a semi-final match it's going to be. Something incredible is about to go down, I have the feeling here, and it's going to be an interesting one. A million storylines could be picked out from these two, but what's the main one that's in your mind, at least?
Well, these two are the biggest rivals in the Wargaming League, Russia and CIS. They've been going at it for so long, it's almost unbelievable. Kind of funny, but considering that they were actually brother and sister team.
Exactly.
Unity was the sister team of Navi, so they know each other very well. They've played it against each other for 3 years, and it's going to be a real cracker because there's not a single two teams in the world that aren't closer than these two.
Exactly. You saw it with Na'Vi and kind of Virtus Pro. They were pretty close, but then you throw in the fact that Hellraisers faces these guys on that online phase every single time out in that CIS region, as long and as well with all those other incredible CIS teams. So these two are just seasoned veterans. You could argue maybe Na'Vi a little more than HR, but Hellraisers have that fire. They're a young team who look so hungry in this tournament. They've had to fight their way through, and we are live into this. There's no messing around today. We are into Cliff, the first map here between this two wonderful teams. So Hellraisers will be in the north on defense. On the attack, it's Na'Vi, and this is going to be a good one. What do you see so far?
Well, it seems like Hellraisers taken a leaf out of EL Gaming's book and picked up a LBBT. You could see Kazna Crew didn't cotton on to that, and maybe one of the reasons why they lost that one. But HR not making that kind of mistake, pushing up and towards the lower road. Obviously starting on the defensive side, Na'Vi on the attack. Very interesting back play from Na'Vi, kind of being very wary that Hellraisers might push through the middle and just want to set up a good firing line back before moving forwards.
They're so aware of each other as well. That's the thing that's going to be in their minds. It's not just what's in front of them or what they can't see in that exact moment. It's all those previous games, all those previous moments in the back of their mind that they will be keeping track of. How many times have they met on this very map? Probably countless by this point. So, what do we see so far? It looks like maybe Hellraisers have taken the kind of initiative, worked their way up towards the top of that lighthouse island. Idol taking a lot of damage actually early on and aggressively peeking towards Power Slide.
Angel Killer's doing a great job in that LBBT, and they've kind of got Hellraisers sandwiched into the middle. You've also got their Bulldog now from the other side, so Hellraisers really have to start making a move, otherwise they will not have enough hit points to deal with Na'Vi.
And that's the big point. Look at this. Angel Killer, as you said, a player who wasn't all that present in the previous game, really making a great entrance towards this one. Good sustained damage. Those Bulldogs, as you said, sometimes you may not initially think they're such a big damage dealer, but the sustain, the amount they can just kind of chip away from the opponents is pretty impressive. And once again, Hellraisers slowly but surely being worked down here by Na'Vi. Shell after shell. Finally, Dido does come through with one on towards the Anatolish, but look at the HP overall. 3k for Hellraisers, 3.5 now for Na'Vi, and actually they're working this one out. Hellraisers are landing the shots. It doesn't matter about the HP. They're getting the kills in. This is unbelievable. Na'Vi have the upper hand, but will they keep it? Slide finds one finally. But can they continue any more? Levshar, Lowell goes down. This is going very back and forth.
Hellraisers should be pushing forward. They have the guns in the game compared to Na'Vi. Even Nesqui saw that push forwards in the MX-1390, got taken down. And Hellraisers have to play that defensive game because they didn't go for that initial push. Levshar on the side got 4 shells left in that Bulldog. So what do we have? We have a lot of tanks on a one-shot for Hellraisers and a couple on the similar amount of HP for Na'Vi. Of course, Sly playing that T-54. It's the main damage dealer for Na'Vi. He's hit something over like 10k damage per match. So he's got to really step up for his team because it is 4 versus 5 at this point. And, well, Na'Vi just a little bit unsure of what to do at this point.
It seems they're both on the brink here. It would take one thing to come out of place. And Levshar is starting to look around. That Bulldog, every shell in place. He's been spotted. And actually, Levshar does get one towards Near You, a player that we're well aware of by now. Both down to a one-shot player from the back. He just about makes it in towards cover, but every single side now has pressure mounting. He needs to be cautious. He needs to be careful. He waits for it, expecting that push-off. He knows he's there. Gets caught from the side. Nicely played out in the end, but still, Na'Vi and Hellraisers neck and neck in this.
Very good move by Hellraisers. They knew that Na'Vi wouldn't be able to commit through the middle, so they could put the LTTB and the T-54 onto Levshar. Levshar making a little bit of an individual mistake, backing out a little bit too soon, giving Hellraisers more time to play around with. But great play. Monty now on the hill as well in the M41. That's going to give them the kind of overview of the map, but he has got to get away because Slide does want a piece of that cake as well.
Yeah, and Slide pretty much has the vast majority of the HP out everyone right now. He is certainly the big dog in the game, keeping Na'Vi almost just ahead on HP. And now what can they do? They need to find these kills soonish. Bearing in mind, Na'Vi are on the attack, so they actually do have to make a play out of this one, whereas Hellraisers could still put players around the place. That's why the T-54 is pretty far away, and we're seeing them starting to consider maybe this game is going to go later on. But Angel Killer starting to look around, starting to try and find something. Last time he was huge here. Can he do it again? Spots coming through. Starting to get himself a nice little spot there, looking for this shot. If he finds this, it'll be phenomenal. Not going to get it for the first time of asking. goes back in, just missing by a whisker. Angel Killer needs to get this. His teammates could do with getting those numbers away from the opposition. Power slide, getting a little bit of damage on top. They've got 3 players to take down. All certainly feasible.
I want to see what that LTTB's doing in the south. If he does manage to get into a good position in time, it will be absolute game over for Na'Vi. Also, Na'Vi doesn't know where that T-54 up north is, so that's going to be a good secondary plan for Hellraisers. It can come into the middle, it can kill Angel Killer at any single time, and Lucikel has found a good angle on slide. He just needs to connect now.
He needs to, because look, Didor's taken down Angel Killer. This is all starting to go a little in favor towards the HR side, down to 2 players here. Oh, stunning shot. How is Parasite alive? Finally, Monty takes him down. And now the vast numbers left with Hellraisers are only facing 1 man. Strike is that man, and there's the first strike, taking down Monty. Can he find 4 more? Such a task. There's the second. Don't tell me you can do this. It's possible, but with 1 minute and 15 seconds, it's going to be so difficult. The map is spread out. You can see the LTTB getting down to the south, spreading themselves apart. He has to find them in 1 minute. And near you, made a shot. He'll know where it's from. But these guys surely are just going to buy time now.
Yeah, Diador, the team captain on your screens right there, is going to be telling to his team, just calm down, relax, just put some distance between us. We got the T-54 on the hill, we can shoot down, we can hide from Strike, who at the moment is really schooling everyone else how to play the T-54. Some people said, okay, you know, Power Slide was that man to make all the plays, and Strike was the guy who taught him, but Strike's really stepping up in this tournament. I really want you guys to keep an eye on him, but yeah, you again missing, but the previous one was, of course, a blind shot. I don't see how Strike can actually make this happen for him.
It's almost impossible. You can see on his face, he's so concentrated, but I think he knows there's limited options here. He's going to go in for the shot. He gets taken down, and Hellraisers will be picking up round 1 here after a very, very tense game.
It was such a long game, I cannot remember how the beginning of that one started, but
well, I guess Hellraisers took the hill, essentially, and then it just kind of... it ground through. It wasn't every single kill took so much, I don't know, concentration to even pick up, even when they were so low. They were all down to 1 shots, yet they were able to maintain so many players in that game.
Yeah, I think, you know, in the middle engagement, Hellraiser had a massive advantage. They could have finished that game a lot earlier. They just didn't push forwards. Nesqui did in the MX-3090, which, by the way, is a pretty weird pick these days for Cliff. But it seemed to work out pretty well for that initial burst damage. Once it had reloaded, of course, 30 seconds reload on that one. So I think Hellraisers could have closed that game earlier, but they did a good job in the end. They played for the long game. They knew they had the advantage at every single corner. So GG anyway. Na'Vi making a few mistakes. I think that really passive start where they went all the way to the south to try and counter Hellraisers in the middle didn't really work, because Hellraisers to go over to the left a little bit, and they weren't so aggressive in the middle. They weren't doing that Kazna EL gaming kind of style of YOLOing in the middle, then whoever gets the first few shots or gets the most amount of damage wins it. You know, I mean, these guys are not that kind of team, and that's why they struggled, for instance, with We Play yesterday and Arete as well. So Hellraisers, you know, I think for me, if I was Na'Vi, I would be saying, okay, Hellraisers is weaker in those coordinated firefights. Why don't we just go for the coordinated firefights, and we'll probably end up winning?
Well, maybe that's something to look out for into the future. I certainly wouldn't be too surprised. Na'Vi going to have to kind of dig deep here. Hellraisers know all of their tricks, but can they keep up with them? That's the bigger question. So far, Hellraisers are leading 1 round to the good, 1 round closer to the Grand Finals. Let's see if they can make it any further, and in some good fashion as well. Into round 2 as they set up, you can see it on your screens there. Na'Vi focused, ready, just once again keeping everything right, keeping everything in the right places. Hellraisers calm. As you can see, such a young team, yet so level-headed. And here we go, once again into this one. Hellraisers on the defense, on the attack, it's Na'Vi. And these two are going to be clashing heads once again. What do we make of these lineups? Anything standing out to you, or very normal by now?
Pretty standard lineup. Again, that's the MX-3090. A little bit interesting, but it's going to work out for them because they'll get the reload in the middle. Now, Na'Vi pushing from the south, they're going to try and go for the side shots, get the lower ground, and maybe actually make a good crossfire work for them. They using exactly the same tactic as Kazna, but they got the T54 lightweight back in support. Now, if Hellraisers takes the bait and goes for that M41, it's going to be very bad.
Hellraisers are pushing.
Navi's got a great side shots onto Hellraisers.
They've got to do the damage well. Diodor's on the front lines. He's going to take a heavy amount of damage as Hellraisers push into enemy territory looking for Na'Vi, who are waiting. They've got a good shot here. Maybe they can make something out of it. They've got 3 tanks kind of pinned away. Levshar might have to be sacrificed here almost, but he does get himself a good little spot. And round the back, look at this performance. They're being surrounded on all fronts. Angel Killer, again, just making himself such a nuisance. And Levshar finds Monty first.
And they've got Hellraisers exactly where they want them. They've got them split up. Hellraisers have to go for something. They're going to go for the M41 ball, the MX-3090s on that, and also Inspire, who's just going to back off that hill.
He needs to be careful here. He's drastically overmatched, but if he can open up some sort of shot for his teammates, 3 tanks are vulnerable there. Let's see what he can do with this one. Staying alive is vital, but a hard position to be in. Going to force himself down. He's going to have a shot to be made very soon, taking Diodor quite low. But can he withstand any more? His teammates are arriving and fast. Diodor does take down Inspirer, but what else can they pull off here? Hellraisers are down to so little. Surely they can't do anything now.
There's almost no hope for them at this point, is for sure, but Diodor and Lucikel, 2-star players from Hellraiser, are going to try and make something happen as Near You gets dispatched by Slide.
Slide looking good in this one. Angel Killer feeling confident by now. He's been doing brilliant work for the side as Hellraisers looking very different. Overconfident, you could say, as Lucikel is the last one alive. Power Slide may be looking for this, going to head around, has the shell right about now, and he will not miss that. Na'Vi bring it back to 1-1.
Nice performance for Na'Vi. I really want to highlight the fact that Hellraiser's initial plan was right. They pushed forwards across to get the back shots onto that M41. The problem was they did not expect Inspire there in the T54, and that was the real crux moment. Inspire being in a position we don't usually see, and just doing some great shots, sides and shot, basically stopping Hellraisers in their tracks, literally. And from there on out, I have to say the game was over. Angel Killer playing great, by the way.
I really like how much
for
she's
a substitute.
doing.
I mean, hashtag Fire Rhino, because that guy is absolutely on fire. And he did good work. I mean, Montiablo just couldn't do anything in that position in the M41. So a great initial positioning by Na'Vi just gave them the edge. And Hellraisers playing a little bit too predictably definitely lost them that game.
Yeah, it's something that I guess you're going to have to keep in mind. These two will know each other, and I guess, as you said, predictability will be a huge downfall here for either side. If they play to maybe the standard or what maybe the opponent will expect, you're going to see such a one-sided game, because Na'Vi are so hyper-aware of this, as are Hellraisers to a degree, that if either of them get even an inkling and understand what the opposition is doing so early on, it's going to be very hard to counter. So, with that in mind, what do they do going into this? It'll be the side switch. 1-1 is pretty equal. It's kind of what I'd expect out of two teams who know each other so well. But did you see one team looking better than the other at any point?
I don't think so. I think what was interesting was that Na'Vi got outplayed in the first round and Hellraisers got out-tacticked, if that's a word. If it isn't a word, I'm adding it to the Oxford Dictionary. Get your notepad out. So, yeah, I mean, so it's kind of even in both respects. Now, the question is, will, in my opinion, Hellraisers actually go super aggressive in this round? If they kind of say, well, we might as well try at least one round and, you know, we don't have a better idea, so let's just go all in. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We at least tried it. But it's often a risky strategy, and it does depend if Na'Vi is really trained for that. Again, I have to say it. Hellraisers, Na'Vi are two teams that don't have the new style. I mean, two teams who play the old style. The new style is EL Gaming, who are absolutely schooling everyone at it, and we play. It's just the all-in. It's the kind of crushing coordination. It's the picking of the right tanks, the focus fire, not really caring about aiming, just hoping it hits, kind of thing.
It's not pretty, but it works, kind of thing almost.
Well, the thing is, you're going to hit something, and if your coordination is better, you're always going to win, pretty much. Hellraiser and Na'Vi, not those kind of teams. They play the old style, the tactical game, the slower game, and maybe they've learned some new tricks, and whichever team has learned that lesson could be going through to the finals.
It's always good to have that ace up your sleeve almost. I guess that if everything else fails, you know, just throwing caution to the wind to a degree and then falling back on the sheer mechanics these teams have will pay off. It's something that'll be in their minds and something we'll see possibly coming in as a factor towards the later round. So far 1-1, neither team has had to go to those lengths just yet. But as you said, it may be something that Hellraisers could look at if they felt it necessary. However, once again, we are into this one, but this time it's Hellraisers on the attack, Na'Vi on the defense. And what are you seeing so far that may indicate something different, or is it much of the same?
Interesting that Montiablo's gone for the T37. That would be my highlight. I mean, usually the LTTB is used because it's as fast as the 3090 or T54, so it can get in position in the right time. T37, a little bit slower, kind of bigger as well, easier to hit, but it's got a better rate of fire. It's an easier tank to play as well. And I think he's going to get some good cross shots on, but we might just be seeing that all in at the beginning.
Oh, let's find out. Look at this. Nesqui is in absolute dire straits. He's a 1.5 shot. Down he goes. LeChar gets it. And now Diador might be that next target on the chopping board. Down to nothing. Picked up. Dropped down. This is that aggressive style that depends on that coordination. And so far, until that moment, it was working for Na'Vi.
To be fair, though, Hellraisers actually got the better positions. They got the higher ground near use of Dispatch of Inspire. Now it's if Hellraisers can actually get forwards and stop Na'Vi from getting their positions back.
Can they do it, though? That's the question now. Lolo is on that sort of position where he's going to be going down again. LeChar is on point, ladies and gents. He's not missing a single thing here. But now, 4 tanks remain. They have the higher ground. Can they put it to any good use?
Levo's getting up. He's got 3 shells. That's about 300 damage, 400 damage if he hits them all. Won't be doing too much, but he's going to be pestering near you. Great penetration from that tank, just about going through the T-54's hull. Now, things have slowed down. A little bit of a reset from both teams. Look at the top left and right of your screen. You see the kind of disparity between the hit points. Na'Vi almost sitting at double that of Hellraisers, and for them, it's what they can do with that hit points, and clearly just going to go for some weakness.
Now, let's see what they can work out. And I'd love to see how much damage LeChar has done already in this game. He's been quite pivotal, if not just in the kills. But Antonish there, going to go try and hit a shot, just try and see if he can get any clear indicators of what Hellraisers are doing, how they're playing this. They've now got Power Slide with them. This overmatch is pretty drastic, and you can see they're just waiting for that moment. They don't want to give it up. Another shot towards Monty near you, trying to find a way back in this maybe for Hellraisers, but it's certainly a tough one, focusing on the tanks slightly further away, but just behind them is LeChar, so they can't go far, they can't overextend. This is a very delicate situation.
This is a pretty standard turtle from Hellraisers as well. You kind of got every single angle covered. Makes life a little bit hard for Na'Vi. Even with that hit points, you can see hit points advantage. You can see slide heading forwards. If I was Na'Vi, I would try and rotate, get a tank into B5. It's going to be a little bit tricky because, I think Kiriloid's been set on fire.
Yeah, he's burning up in the background. Down to 1-0. Oh, it doesn't matter. Power slide found Monty. All of that hard grit work in the end. You can see that coming through. Na'Vi starting to stretch their legs and just batter down Hellraisers. 1 man left in this. He had the most HP, and now 4 tanks coming in. This should be Na'Vi's round. It is. And Na'Vi starting to look strong.
Good coordination. You saw the firefights between the two teams going back and forwards. I think Nesqui almost cost them 1 round before, and he's cost them a 2nd round there. Really, well, I'm not sure if it's really his fault. They just pushed forwards and took him out in their MX-1390. Maybe not the greatest choice of tank. But Na'Vi just going that lower road. The lower road is got such an advantage because you can get the initial damage and you can get the sustained damage longer on, a bit longer. I mean, I think where it was won and lost though is when you had 1 tank of Na'Vi basically splitting forwards, distracting Hellraisers, making them kill him, which allowed the rest of Na'Vi to go forwards and take that middle area. They lost the middle area, which would have lost them the game, even though they had the hit points and tank advantage. But because they sacrificed 1, they didn't have the tank advantage anymore, but they still had those hit points.
Yeah, massive buffer for them as well, as you said. It pretty much kept them solidly in that. But now, at a 2-1, it's not a massive scoreline, I guess, but the way Na'Vi played then, that was exactly what you were talking about, that they may, one of these teams may just kind of open up to that kind of new style, that aggressive style, that kind of very in-your-face, very almost BM style in a way, that there's no respect there, they just want to power through. Now, is this time for Hellraisers to do that back, or is it too risky to go down at a 3-1 now?
If I was Hellraiser, I would ditch the MX-1390, go for the T-54, and pull out whatever trick you have left on Cliff. Both of them, I don't think, are playing particularly great on this map. I think there's a lot of individual mistakes, but It's going pretty good. Again, I think for Hellraisers, lineup change is necessary, and just the coordination at the beginning. They're losing every single match within that first little bit of an engagement, and it kind of goes from bad to worse there. Then the reset of the fight as well definitely helps Na'Vi. I think Hellraisers need to keep the pressure on, keep surprising Na'Vi, because Na'Vi never loses at their own game. I mean, you got to remember these guys, Red Rush Team 1, they basically wrote the book on how to play World of Tanks esports, and as long as people are writing that book, they're always going to be able to be beaten.
It's a very good point. Na'Vi on your screens looking a lot calmer now in the start of the game when it was 1-1, a little bit more animated, a little bit more worried, but finding maybe some comfort in the way they played that last round out. It was quite decisive in comparison to the other two, which were damn close. However, still a tough task at hand. Hellraisers are certainly no pushover in this sort of matchup. And for that final round, what sort of scoreline do we need to see for this still to be a game in Prokhorovka? Is there enough? As you said, it should be Hellraisers' choice to be on Prokhorovka as the next map, which it would be, which is map 2. How much of a buffer do they need? Do they need that other round to stand a chance, or could they even maybe go far enough to turn around a 3-1?
Well, if we look at the online result, that's where Hellraisers won. They won on Prokhorovka quite decisively. They won one defensive round, won 2 attacking rounds, so they just seem better on that map. I mean, Na'Vi's played it a lot of times, 21 times in the last season. They're solid, but Hellraisers just need to hang on. I think they do need to go 2-2 if they stand a chance, but I'm pretty confident they can. They just need to reset to that first match where Na'Vi's not trying new things, or they don't let Na'Vi try new things to win.
Well, let's find out. Sadly, they're still sticking with that 1390 that I don't think you're too much of a fan of, but let's see.
Diador's playing it now, not Esquire.
Ah, okay, so maybe that's a little change that could actually help them out a bit here. We'll see how much that comes into effect. Once again, Hellraisers are on the attack, Na'Vi defending this, and let's see if this is going to be an even 2-2 or a 3-1 scoreline. What do you see so far? What does this indicate? How's this going to play out?
This is just going to be a massive firefight in the middle. Monte Diablo is being boosted by Lovu. That T-37 is going to help them a lot. The Bulldogs with a reload will be good at killing the first tank, but from then on out, they're really going to struggle.
Oh, and look at this. Hopefully Hellraisers are prepared. No, they didn't expect the push. Surely, oh, Monty goes down. And this is surely going to be another one for Na'Vi. Na'Vi starting out with a hell of a lot of pressure here. Near you getting some back, though. Near you looking at the front of this one, trying to deal some damage, and they are, but receiving so much in turn. And look at this, even in the background, Angel Killer winning out in his battle. And all across this map, it's looking like another Na'Vi display, unless they can dig so deep here, Hellraisers. They're starting to struggle.
I think Hellraisers might be able to bring this one back if they've got the better ground. Lovu's also got plenty of hit points. They just need to take down Left Shot.
Let's see what they can do. He's a huge factor in this. Stuck on reload. He can't do much. Diador steps up. That's the play you put out at the start of this round. But who will now succeed? It's down to 3 for Hellraisers. And here comes the cleanup. And it's all in red. Hellraisers looking like they mean business. But Power Slide and Angel Killer still alive. There's damage to be done. Angel Killer comes in with 1. It's down to a 2v2. The HP is so close, slightly in favor to Hellraisers. Angel Killer, Power Slide up against Lucy Curl and Diador. Shells available between all of these 3. Lucy Q has to be perfect. He missed earlier. Can he? Oh, he went for Angel Killer and round on the side with Power Slide waiting. He committed for it, took 160, but he's still in this. And now 2v1, Power Slide needs to step up for his side. Can he do it? Or is it just too much? Let's see now. Oh, it's a 1-for-1 exchange. Diador's coming in from the top. Here he goes. Diador gets it. Beautifully done. Hellraisers on a nice edge then.
I don't know, my heart is going crazy right now. Just fantastic work from Hellraiser. It looked like it was going badly, but by going low, Na'Vi lost that positional advantage. They all went for, who was playing that? Monty in that T-37. But the thing is, by killing Monty, they basically blocked themselves. They couldn't shoot through Monty's corpse. It came part of the scenery, and it allowed Hellraisers to kind of split in half and come from both sides onto Na'Vi. But it was so close. I have to say they got a little bit unlucky. I mean, you saw Slide doing 297 damage. 250 is the average on that T-54, and it allowed Angel Killer to actually take him out. But that 2v2 could have gone both ways. I think Angel Killer kind of made the mistake. He should have gone above, and he would have probably been able to avoid the shot from Diador, but it was very close. I think at the end of the day, Hellraisers just got that little bit of execution which they needed.
and the difference Diodor made then was pretty damn impressive, considering we said at the start, he's picked up that 1390. It was a very big difference sort of presence, let's say, in the game. It wasn't necessarily he's a better player individually, but he made a very big impact in that round.
He's not a guy that messes up. I mean, Lucikel and Diodor are like the two guys you want in your team if you're 2 versus 2. There's no one else you want. Slide, yeah, he's a great guy, probably the best player in the world. But Lucikel, Diodor are just the men who step up in pressure situations. No offense to Angel Killer, but he doesn't have that experience. He comes from Arcade Esports, who didn't have a great season, and he was a pretty mediocre player in there. The reason why he is on Na'Vi at the moment is because Na'Vi know him very well. He's played in the team before under previous names, Red Rush Team 1, and they're good friends with him. I mean, they prefer to have that kind of situation than having a guy they don't know at all and having to kind of befriend him, break him in, exactly. So Angel Killer's been performing, but in those situations, Lucikel Diodor just one step ahead.
Yeah, they are certainly superior players, and as you said, they do not crumble in those situations. They just seem to step up further and further every time I see them, but it's a model of consistency almost with some of these players that when you put them in these almost impossible situations or ones that are split near on 50-50, they just come out on top every single time. It's quite impressive to watch, especially on maps like that. It allows for it. However, we can turn our attention to map 2 now. Cliff was a 2-2. Even, it's still all there. However, Prokhorovka, you theorized, was all about Hellraisers. That's a map that they previously were able to push Na'Vi on. It was something that they should feel comfortable on. But do you think from the performance we've seen, they are on the right track to do so?
Well, the reason why they won against Na'Vi on Prokhorovka was because they just surprised them. They played really consistently. Their coordination was really good, especially around those railroads, which is what you need on Prokhorovka. But Na'Vi's got a lot of experience. I think the reason why I give it to Hellraisers on Prokhorovka is because Na'Vi's got that in the back of the mind. Everyone says they're stoic and they don't think about their previous results, but they must do. I mean, a team that never loses, losing on that map, it must have an effect.
Identical lineups coming out for these two, so both similar of mind. So we are into map number 2. Na'Vi now on the defense. Hellraisers on the attack. It is 2-2 so far, completely split even. And what do we see at the moment?
Oh, both teams heading into the same direction. I think it's just going to be about that brawl. Whoever gets the forward momentum will end up winning this one. Na'Vi don't look like they want to stop, and Hellraisers are exactly the same.
It's going to be absolute carnage, and here it comes. The bloodbath begins. Kyriloid is being melted down to a one-shot now. Surely to be dealt with. How is he still in the game at the moment? He's just gone completely unspotted almost. Gets down one. He does, however, fall. 2-for-1 exchange currently sitting in favor of Hellraisers, coming out on top in this. They are looking aggressive, and they want to do damage. And Na'Vi falling by the wayside. They're falling down one by one. It's down to 3. Angel Killer, Strike, and the Anatolian, the last 3 standing, and they've got so much work ahead. Surely not going to happen. Diodor finds one, and this is surely over.
Yeah, this is over. Hellraisers just looking unbelievable. I mean, they're really, really insane, pushing in, being dominant, not really giving anything to Na'Vi to play with, as Strike puts his head in his arms as Hellraisers do pick up that first round.
Absolutely gutted on the side of Na'Vi. You could see it. Frustration, anger. They're the team that we've said looks stoic constantly, never tilt, never go wrong. Na'Vi, this team of just complete consistency, just looked absolutely livid and pretty much disappointed. And you said if Hellraisers took on that mentality of the new school of going for that aggressive play, something that, to be fair, Prokhorovka does allow for, there's that chance that they can have that coordination, and they just seem to have it.
They did, and they even failed a little bit. They didn't take down Kyriloid, and they didn't take down was a Slide, I think. Yeah, it was Kyriloid and Slide. And I think Kyriloid probably just lost his team that game. He wanted to go for some sort of maybe like muscle memory scout around the top of Prokhorovka and see where Hellraisers were going. But what he did was basically put himself first into the entirety of Hellraiser and to his side, while the rest of his team were in a different direction. So that T-54 went down very quickly, and the rest of Hellraisers could just focus down a Slide, I believe it was. So just good coordination, and you can't have one tank go in like that because it's just going to get melted, especially if it's a T-54. It's just not going to help you out. So good play by Hellraisers, good coordination. They seem to be catching up with that new school play.
Let's see what Na'Vi can do. Ball's in their court now. They know what Hellraisers wanted on that first round. Now coming into round 2 on map 2, they've got to find some form here. Consistently with Na'Vi in their tough games, it goes battle for battle, round for round. But now they need to get back in this one. They cannot lose another here. Getting Hellraisers onto match point will be a disaster for them. Hellraisers starting to look a bit more pumped up, starting to look animated, starting to look like a team that may be able to dethrone Na'Vi. What a phenomenal display that would be. Still, a couple of rounds away. Hellraisers still have to fight for this one. And on the same sides we go. Hellraisers attacking once again, and Na'Vi defending again. Let's see what they've got going on.
Different start for both teams. It's unbelievable. These guys know each other so well. They know exactly how it's going to go down. Same kind of lineup, 54s and M41s. And I think, guys, this is going to be another little bit of a chaotic brawl. But Hellraisers seem to have a little bit worse of a position.
Now let's see the slaughter begin, and look at this play. Hellraisers so aggressive, but Monty this time goes down very early on. Maybe Na'Vi are holding firm here. Nesquik does get left shot down, but it's a 2-for-1 this time in favor to Na'Vi. They need to get these kills in. It's just about being evened up. Lolvo very low here. He might be taken out, and he is this time. They're taking guns out of the game, and Atolish with a stunner. This is looking like Na'Vi are back in the driving seat with every single kill.
5 tanks of Na'Vi just sitting on top of that hill, making sure that they're a wolf pack of tanks that can direct so much damage to Hellraiser. They just have absolutely no answer. Anatolik just have to reverse, but you'll see Strike now get into his own.
Let's see if there's anything that can turn this around. Big players still up here, 2 kills back to back. As we do see a couple of tanks holding on for dear life. Nesquik going around the backside, but Straight strikes again, but Diador stands tall. It's a 2v2 out of nowhere, and Strike is so low. Diador can do this. If he lands a shell, game on now. Angel Killer 1v2 Hellraisers might have just turned this around. Na'Vi were in control. Can they finish off the job? Angel Killer gets one, but he's down. Hellraisers turn it around.
No words for what Hellraisers just did. Just split-second decisions, swung it back into their favor, and Natus, Vincere thought they actually won that game, and how wrong they could be. That's what happens when you let off that pressure and let a team like Hellraisers get into your mind. Better positioning from Na'Vi allowed them to do a lot of initial damage and basically stay as a wolf pack to take down the advancing Hellraisers tanks, but then it went pretty badly as Strake went forwards, basically singling himself out. I thought he would be turning left and going for the 2 tanks of Hellraisers that were charging towards the low hit points tanks of his own team, but it didn't happen, and Strike just decided to screw up that game. Angel Killer on reload in that M41 didn't help either. GG to Hellraisers, because that was just great work from them, and Na'Vi just look a little bit vanquished right now. They don't seem to have that kind of last bit of execution that's needed to take down Hellraisers. Again, being schooled on Prokhorovka, their aggression is just not there right now.
Na'Vi might just be ripped from their throne here. This is the previous Grand Finals champion being absolutely beaten black and blue. Even the cameraman almost fell over, he can barely handle it. Hellraisers just going above and beyond. That was never a game they should have won. That was never a situation they should have picked up. But they did. Na'Vi dropping the ball for a second and Hellraisers just snatching it away. That's just brilliant stuff to watch. So now Hellraisers are on match point. 1 more and they go to the finals.
That 1 is often the elusive one to get. And I think Na'Vi now will move into overdrive and just try and stop this from happening to them. They've beaten Hellraisers time and time again in these important situations. Will they be able to do it again? Funny thing is, they beat Hellraisers on Prokhorovka in that tiebreaker map in the Season 3 finals of the WGRU and CIS in what was a pretty aggressive move. So it would be pretty ironic if they got beaten again. But again, I think Hellraisers is just a better team on this map, and they are proving it right now.
It's time, ladies and gents, to find out if Na'Vi can recover. Can they salvage anything? Because Hellraisers are on match point. Unbelievable performance has taken them here. Can they take it all the way? It is 4-2 in favor to Hellraiser. They're on defense. Na'Vi on the attack. Can Na'Vi bring this one back? Ollie, What are we seeing from the start?
Na'Vi are starting to learn their lesson. They can't go 1 versus 1 against Hellraisers in those brawls, despite doing very well for themselves on Cliff when the brawls did happen. But I think they just out-tacticked them. But they're going forward, going for that right side cap. I mean, the caps have been completely ignored on this map so far. I mean, just might as well not have them. Hellraisers kind of going for that brawl again to the left side this time, going backwards and forwards, always going for the gamble. I mean, literally no one got spotted until about a second ago. Thrank just makes a little pot shot towards T54 lightweight. So Hellraisers heading forwards. They just don't want to let anything slip. They don't want to slow the pace down because Na'Vi, they're so good when the pace is slow.
Are they going to commit? Is Hellraiser going to go straight across? It looks like they are. They're going straight in for this one. This is going to be insane. They're not stopping and they mean business, but can they take it all the way now? In such an aggressive move, surely playing into the hands of Na'Vi, but still Lolvo gets the first. But can anyone follow up?
I don't know. I think Hellraiser's just getting good coordination. The Anatolic hit just singled out on his own. Slide is there to reply.
These guys are going back and forth with kills. So far, Hellraiser's trailing behind in HP. Who's going to turn it? Can Hellraisers turn it around again and take themselves in the final again? A kill comes through. Down to 3 now for Na'Vi. Strike, Slide, and Luvshata hold on to their hopes in this tournament. Can they pull it through? Aggressive moves coming out from Hellraisers here. And look at this play. Lolvo's not happy with what he's done so far. He wants more, and he's going to get more. Down to 2. Hellraisers are on the verge of going to the finals, and again, more comes out as the shot is all that's left for Na'Vi in a 1v2. This is the dethroning of the previous champions. The Shah knows it's over, and it is. Hellraisers are going to the finals.
We have witnessed history right here, my friends. I've been waiting for that moment for about 3, maybe 4 years. The sisters have finally beaten the Masters. Hellraisers beat Na'Vi in a significant setting. GG.
And let's be very honest about this one. Hellraisers were taking no prisoners. Step by step, they tore Na'Vi away from their throne. The previous defending champions will not be in the final game. We have 2 new contenders, and one of them is on your screen right there. Hellraisers, a team of young, hungry players, has found their stage and their chance to be the world champions here at the Grand Finals.
Slide even shrugging away from that handshake, clearly disappointed. Na'Vi aren't a team that really loses that many games. Just absolutely phenomenal work from Hellraisers, and if I was going to put it down to one thing that really won them that game, was their ability to hold on when even they got outplayed, and then just playing that standard game and not letting Na'Vi get into their rhythm, because when Na'Vi gets into their rhythm, it's game over. They just threw that old rulebook out the window, wrote the new rulebook, and just executed it perfectly. Great work from Hellraisers, great work.
They just set the game on fire. Everything that has been done before, that Na'Vi have set the trend to, that these old guard had kind of built, has been torn down by these younger players who are the opposition. And you can see how much this means to both teams, the team who have worked for years and the team who've come through doing just the same thing, who have been built in the shadow of the team they've just beaten. Hellraisers will be on top of the world right now, and I am honestly in awe of these players right now, playing out of their minds individually and as a team. They can be so proud of what they've achieved so far. I don't know what else there is to say.
I'm lost for words. I honestly, I mean, it's so hard to think about exactly what goes down in those minuscule situations where the slightest detail makes a big difference, where the coordination from Hellraisers, that last map was down to the fact that Hellraisers were on the right sides of the buildings. They were in the right places to make those shells, and Na'Vi, they just couldn't quite do it. And you got to remember, Hellraisers charged straight over the train tracks. That's not something you'd ever see in your entire life, but it's finally happened.
And I think that's enough from us. I think there is someone who's ecstatic waiting to be interviewed. YR and Red Eye on stage, take it away.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Yes, congratulations. Have you, in the short trip between there and here, have you had enough time to calm down?
I still didn't come, and I don't have a word to describe my feelings now, and I don't know what to say. Sorry, but it's so boom.
I can't imagine what's going through your mind right now, but it's perfectly fine to lose words. Let's talk a little bit about the match. Na'Vi are a hell of a team to play. They've been so fantastic these last 12 months, worthy world champions last year, but you had to really dig deep today to beat them. And when it was 2-2, did you think, oh, maybe we don't win this again?
I can't remember now what I'm thinking about when it was 2-2. Seriously.
Okay, that's a fair answer, I think. Okay, so let's look ahead to the final now. You're in the final.
Yes.
It's against a very different team as well, a Chinese team. You obviously weren't expecting that. Yes. So how do you prepare in the short time that we have between now and the grand final?
You know, on this tournament, most difficult team for us is teams from Asia region. And now in the final, it will be one of them. I can say it will be completely unpredictable finals. All can I say?
Okay, well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Hellraisers are your grand finalists. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
One of the best explanations of how he felt, though. I mean, it was better than words, really. Congratulations to Hellraisers. One hell of a game against Na'Vi. Na'Vi still one of the powerhouse teams in CIS, unfortunately getting knocked out in the semifinals. We wish them the best of luck in the next season. We're going to break down each of the different battles, but first we need to take a look at the results from the votes, Ola.
So yes, actually 88% voted for Na'Vi. So they might be very, very disappointed right now, so that their favorite team didn't win. But I would also like to cheer up for the fans of Hellraisers and the one lucky person who is going to win a branded Razer Galeatus mousepad. So yeah, congratulations, Hellraisers.
It was 8% for EL Gaming. It was 12% for
Yes.
Hellraisers. So I wonder what the percentage is going to be for the finals for the vote.
It's going to be a very interesting final.
Definitely, definitely. 2 underdogs throughout this entire tournament and are now making it to the finals. Quite a story. And we're not done yet as we get prepared for the finals. Let's break down what happened. Battle number 1, Navi's able to, or Hellraiser's able to take it. And then in battle number 2, Na'Vi on the 2 line in the flank looked pretty good.
Yeah, battle number 2, Na'Vi thought that Hellraisers would push, and Hellraisers did push. But unlike against the Elong match, Hellraisers pushed into nothing. There was nothing there except for a crossfire waiting for them. I mean, it was pretty straightforward what happened after. They drove into a crossfire and they got picked off one by one. That was one of the matches that Na'Vi looked actually really good, one of the few during this entire match.
Yeah, definitely. Mojo, let's go ahead and break down some of the things that happened on Cliff in your analysis.
First, I must say, this is like biggest display of skill I've seen in ages on any tournament ever. They're literally clinging with their fingernails to this cliff to stay alive in every game. This was brilliant. The result doesn't show it. 5-2 doesn't show it.
A few games it was like 100 HP, 800 HP, 2 tanks on a one-shot.
2 on 100, 5 on 800.
At any given point, Na'Vi was ahead, Hellraisers was ahead, Na'Vi was back ahead, Hellraisers was back ahead. You had no clue who was going to win until the very last second, and they both played it really beautiful.
Bond of skill and power.
Yeah.
Display, brilliant. Like on first game, we're gonna see just tactically what they did. So Na'Vi was attacking, they left a spotter in this area here to watch who is coming, is anyone coming down. They went with majority of forces here to prevent any major push. Now Hellraisers split their forces 4x3. 4 guys, one being played with LTTB, maybe watching the Chinese, came like here, and 3 guys came here to prevent any push and to shoot them in the back if they're doing it. They had a Bulldog there because he is actually a cooldown tank and he can do damage in that burst. So Hellraisers were, if Na'Vi push, we will shoot them in the flank. If Na'Vi doesn't, what they did, we will join the forces and we will steal P7 here.
Right in that center section.
So Na'Vi again saw what they're doing. Like they're just playing like this, kung fu. And they set off a Bulldog, go around, Bulldog follow here. So the Bulldog from here has a crossfire. The Bulldog from here can shoot here. Bulldog from here can shoot like this. And they put Hellraisers in a dire position because they were taking damage. And Navi had an upper hand then. We saw that. They were about 1k HP in advantage.
Something like that.
Hellraiser, brilliant, aggressive reaction. They waited for this Bulldog to be in reload. They knew he will have to back up. They went immediately aggressive here on the ridge, started shooting Navi one by one while this guy was coming back to join his team and made big advantage. It ended so closely. We saw that game. They were up and down, ring around the roses, everything.
They weren't
HP
afraid.
was non-existent.
They weren't afraid to sacrifice tanks though, because as soon as that 3090 went on reload, he just drove over. Please shoot me, Navi. I'm on reloads. I don't care. Shoot me, please. Kill me, so the other guys can shoot you instead.
Unbelievable communication. It's like a hive.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
What I
hive
found
mind.
weird about Navi is though how they took the really back approach on Cliff. Like we saw.
Like, look at this. This looks like a cartoon map when they draw the tactics, like
Almost.
Donald Duck and so.
But it's that fluidity that we saw also from EL Gaming that was quite a difference maker for Cliff. And battle number 3, we saw more of that solid, patient, and strong play coming from Navi, despite what Hellraisers was trying to attempt. And this was into that scary territory where it seemed Navi was, they were adapting to what Hellraisers was bringing every single time. But then Hellraisers started to adapt and to change, especially with the map reset.
Game number 3 was really a good push by Navi. They anticipated what will Hellraisers do, and I would even call that a penta push. Ducky did it in Europe first. Straight push, 2 tanks on a cliff, 5 go down, annihilate anything in front of you. Don't stop.
Another
No
thing
breaks.
that we made a point during this series was that revenge shot. And this happens a lot in North America where you take a hit and you peek back around where you just got hit to take another shot, to fire back, and you get hit again. You think, why do you do this? Well, instinctually you think, oh, I just got hit, I better fire back in order for it to, to even out. That is an erroneous decision to make, and 90% of the time you do that, you're gonna get hit again and usually get tracked and then suffer even more because of it. Would you agree with that, Jonathan?
Absolutely. When I stream, I say that all the time. I say, you know what, I'm going to do a double peak here. I shouldn't do this, and then I do it anyways. But when you do that against a team like Navi, we saw it especially in round 3.
Yep.
Absolutely demolished. And that's when Navi was looking really good. I thought after round 3, Navi's got this. They're looking fantastic. Then after that, Navi started doing it back. And we actually, in my opinion, we saw Hellraisers play more like the old Navi in 742 than Navi did tonight.
Yeah, like you said, in that position it was a 2v2. Slide still had decent HP, Angel Killer had decent HP. Angel Killer could have driven up the ramp and take a higher position, but instead he peeked twice. And he didn't do any damage, and he put Slide in a 1v2 that he could never win while they were still in that game. That is one of the rounds that broke him.
And on that second peak, it's almost impossible to do damage to the person who's camping you. Their crosshair is right there waiting for you. It's just free damage.
You're playing against Lucico, one of the best players in Hellraisers, and you think that he's not going to hit you if you peek again. It's a big mistake from Angel Killer.
And another thing that Hellraisers did very well is that they stayed in the fight even though their tanks were low on hit points. And a number of times we saw some 2v1s or even some 1v1s that the tank had 1 shot left. He would take it, and even though he would die, it would help the rest of his teammates clean up. And we saw the 3v3s and then the 2v2s turn into an advantage on one side of Navi, but then an advantage for Hellraisers because they did as much damage as they could in that moment. And that's what counts. That's what makes a difference in the end. To rely on your teams, go, guys, I'm out, I'm done, I'm gonna die here. Here's the final shot, clean up. And that happened at least twice for Hellraisers.
Yeah, we could see that. They were not afraid to do the shot and then drive down, try to ram, or make them shoot you, because you don't reload anyways. At that point, you're not useful anymore to the team. So rather have the guy with higher HP do 1 or 2 more shots and turn it into your favor, especially on Prokhorovka. We saw that a
Do
lot.
the most effective thing in that moment for your team. And then finally on Prokhorovka, it seemed like it was just an all-out warfare right in the center. Both teams were charging in, staying together. What was it about Hellraisers that gave them the advantage? Because it seemed where Navi was positioning their tanks, they had a little bit of that hold down position and they were ready and waiting for Hellraisers to come to them, even in those 2 or 3 seconds.
The beautiful thing about Prokhorovka is how both teams predicted each other. We saw them go to the same side, and it was like they were reading each other perfectly. I think the problem for Navi on the first round was they were in the ditch, and Hellraisers just came over onto them. So they focused fire better, and they basically killed 1 guy before Navi were doing damage. But in the other game, it turned out into a 5 versus 2. And what Navi did wrong there is they started splitting off, trying to get around Hellraisers instead of going together and just pushing, having 5 guns, push over. They killed 2, 3 guns alive. They finished them off. They started splitting off. What did Hellraisers do? They left the one guy on the left and they just went over and started picking off one-shots.
There's one team in North America called Simple Tankers. Prokhorovka is their best map, and that's exactly what they do. They keep pushing over that side, and they'll get behind the tanks and keep firing. And so in America, those T-32s are other tanks that just sit there and wait and try to find a shot, or like, I'm surrounded, I'm trying to turn my turret, I'm getting hit on all ends, and the faster moving light tanks are getting behind the enemy line and causing that disruption and causing that trouble. And that's what we saw in that last map.
I think something else to note on Prokhorovka as well is the round before, where instead of facing a 3-1 situation, which is you're only one loss away from going to tiebreaker, you had a 2-2 situation. That confidence really allowed Hellraisers to push aggressively. Round 6, we saw such an aggressive, confident push, which I actually think was a statement for the championship match.
Definitely. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your assessment. Ola, we still got a couple more things we're giving away.
That's right. So we still are running the HyperX contest on our Facebook page, which is fb.com/WGLEU. So you have to be creative and tell what comes to your mind when you think of HyperX to get a chance to win one of 3 flash storages and 100 of bonus codes. But there is also one important thing I want to mention is that the next team vote is up, and this is going to be a vote for Kazna Crew or Navi, battle for the 3rd place. So if you predict the exact scoreline and it will be right, you will get a chance to win either Razor Goliathus or Razor Death Adder or 50 bonus codes. So the vote is up, just go there and do it. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ola. I know we're giving out a lot more stuff, and we just have a little bit of time left until we will crown a champion. So you definitely want to stay tuned, folks. The WGL Grand Finals for 2015 continues after this.